I think we're here to struggle and to learn. I don't think we're here to be happy. That's why when we keep going back to the happy argument, I've always found that kind of frustrating and annoying. Yeah. When someone goes, "Oh, but I want to be happy." Why? Why? Why do you want to sit there and laugh like you were happy your entire childhood? That's your happy days. You're allowed to be happy as a kid. Finished. It's all over now, right? You're a man. You have responsibilities. I think we're here to do important. Provide, protect, and we're also here to do important things. And important things are going to be difficult, and they're going to be hard, and you're going to get frustrated. But that's what gives you purpose. Yeah. I don't see anyone who's chasing happiness. I think that's a very feminine frame. I understand why some women just want to be happy. I don't know how it feels to be a girl because I'm not one. But in my experience, I know women who just want to be happy. Yeah. Girls just want to have fun. Fine. But you're a man, right? And if you're a man, then it's absolutely an utterly different experience of life. I think we're here to struggle. I think we're here to endure pain. Yeah. I think we're here to just see how hard we are to kill. I think that going through terrible things and living through them and coming out the other side is one of the most fantastic things about being human. I think that it's almost like once you understand what life is really about, there's no emotion which isn't enjoyable. The only emotional state which can be seen as detrimental is feeling nothing at all. But if you're sitting at home and you're feeling truly heartbroken, at least you're feeling something, right? And I think that's the whole part of being human. I think we're here to struggle. I think we're here to go through pain. That's so I wake up each day and go, what can I attack? What problem can I solve? And look at history. Why did Genghis Khan wake up and want to conquer the whole world? Why did Napoleon conquer the world? Why did Alexander the Great conquer the world? Just wake up and just say, give me this, give me that. I want all of it. I need to, there's an army there. They're really big. We're better. It's intrinsic. Yeah. You need to go and conquer. That's the purpose of life.
Why do you think that we were created here to do you believe that God created us? So why did God create us to struggle? What is it?
Because if you don't struggle, you don't learn.
Yeah.
God created us to learn and understand ourselves and understand other people and understand the world. And what did I say earlier? I said that you don't learn a lesson or you don't appreciate something without pain. So you have to struggle to learn anything. There's only two ways to learn things, the hard way or the harder way. If you're smart, you can learn the hard way. But in my experience, 99% of the planet only learn the hardest possible way. If the lesson's even 85% effective, they'll make the same mistake. It's only when they completely decimate and destroy an element of their life do they sit there and go, oops, now I get it.
No.
That's how it goes. And my father was a professional chess player, and I understood I had to work hard and I had to do each of my last name. And from as young as I can remember, I was told, no, you have to be exceptional because your last name is Tate. It was very clear to me. It was never any other type of life that was laid out for me. I never expected to have any other easy life or never expected to have a normal life. Mm-hmm. My mother and father broke up when I was 10. We moved to England.
How did that affect you?
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the reasons, if I had to self-analyze, when I moved from America to England, obviously you start all over again, you go to a new school, you have to make new friends, and back then, and the kids would make fun of your accent or whatever, and you have to learn to stick up for yourself, you have to learn to fight and to be brave. And if I had to be a psychotherapist, if I believed in these things and had to analyze my past as to why I am the way I am, I think the fact that at a fairly young age, I was ostracized and forced to defend myself and forced to stick up for myself and was happy to have a different point of view because I knew nobody could pick on me. That probably has something to do with the reason I am the person I am, if I had to analyze it.
I always knew that the Matrix existed, and I always knew that the traditional systems and
From what age did you know?
Say again?
From what age did you know?
I always knew.
Okay.
I just knew. Even when I was going to school and they're sitting there going, you're not going to get a good job if you don't get good grades. I was the one sitting there going, you're a liar. Shut up. I just knew the teacher was lying. I knew school was bullshit. I knew college was bullshit. I knew university was a lie. I always knew it was a trick and a con. I didn't truly understand things to the level I understand them now. But I had an intrinsic understanding, and I think everybody does. If you're at a gas station and it's 3 a.m. and a Lambo pulls up and a guy gets out of it, you're thinking criminal, drug dealer, gangster. Yeah. You're not thinking, he has a uni degree. Because you're not going to think that. So when you see money, people don't even associate the money they see with university. But then they go, I want to make money, so I go to university. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. So I think everybody knows that the system and the path they lay out for you is not a path that's going to lead to where you want to be. And I didn't know what the other path was, but that intrinsic distrust for the system and that distrust for the things they wanted me to do made me search for other avenues. And then I found them, right? And if you speak to the people who are richest, if you speak to the people you know, this is for everyone at home as well, if you speak to the people you know who have the most money and go up to them and say, hey, what made you rich? None of them say school. Do any of them say school made me rich? I got an A in GCSE. Like, who gives a shit? It's bullshit, right? So it's all indoctrination. So I knew it was indoctrination, and for that reason, I was always searching. And if you're searching, you're gonna find.
Yeah.
So
I feel like they overcomplicate it and confuse it on purpose because they don't want entrepreneurs, right? And they want people to be stuck in the system. People said I'm full of shit because of that.
No, I know exactly what you're saying, but they teach you things that the problem is as well, it's difficult because the way that humans work and the way that we've evolved as a species is that we don't really learn lessons unless they're learned the hard way.
Yeah.
I believe that unless a lesson has taught the hard way, you're not going to learn it. You can have so many near misses and people won't learn their lesson. Bro, you must know a guy who goes out there, nearly crashes his car, doesn't slow his ass down till he wrecks it.
Yeah.
Like, this is how people are, right? So you need that pain for the lesson to sting enough to really genuinely go inside of your mind. And it's the same with everything. It's the same with driving a car or business. Truthfully, if you want to learn a lesson about business, you're going to have to suffer at some point, right? So we always say that most people are not successful with their first companies, X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. I get that. The truth is there's a lot of people who make a lot of money with their first company, but they just spunk it, act an idiot, and it all blows up in their face. And that's how you get the discipline on your fourth company, that when you have 3 million in the bank, you just leave it there. You know, and don't be done with it. So you need to go through some pain. You need to experience some negative things. You need to have to a degree some trauma to really even learn any lessons. So yeah, business studies, you're right. The book, that's not going to teach you anything about business. You need to get out there on the streets. You need to make mistakes. You need to suffer. You need to have the tax man knocking at your door. You got to deal with all that stuff so that you make sure it doesn't happen again. I really think that humans are stupid enough to only learn the hard way. That's kind of how it works. It's very interesting when you understand the brutal dynamics of humanity and also the brutal dynamics of opinions in general. But unless you're prepared to defend your opinion, usually physically, especially outside of the internet world, you don't have an opinion at all. If you can't defend your ideas, if someone comes to you and says, I disagree with you, and you're afraid of that person, well, then you're not going to have any ideas different than what the Matrix wants you to hold. It takes a lot of bravery to stand up and say, I don't care, I know I'm right, despite the fact that the whole group or society or the consensus is saying this, because you're going to pay for that at some point. I know we live in a world now where physical confrontation and physical violence alone is not enough, but I still think it's intrinsic inside of the human condition. When you know that you are capable in that realm, you're more likely to stand up against the system. But you can't have an opinion if you don't defend it. If you can't defend it, if a guy comes up to you and says 2 + 2 is 5, and he can beat the shit out of you, I mean, maybe you'll end up a bloody pulp, or maybe you'll give up sooner, but sooner or later, 2 + 2 is going to equal 5. That's the reality of the world. So
if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think, just to talk about the childhood thing, I understood from a young age I had to stick up for myself and defend my ideas, and my ideas were always different, and I was always an outcast, I guess, to a degree, and that certainly played a part later on in my life, because it's been very easy for me to look at the programming the Matrix is trying to push down my throat and just say no. Why do we want children to wake up, go on their phone, and tune into a stream of some geek loser screaming at the top of his voice in public? Who is doing this? Why are we trying to dumb down the population and permanently distract them with absolute garbage? Because I truly believe that is, you talk about God and we talk about faith. To be a disciplined religious person, the word is discipline. It requires discipline. It takes discipline to read the Bible. It's not going to be screaming kids. It's not going to be flashing images. It's not going to be as entertaining as a stream with 30 naked girls. No, you're going to have to sit down, pay attention, read, focus, reflect, try and find the lesson in the parable, get confused, read it again, ask for help. You're going to have to study. That takes discipline. As we're destroying the new generation and removing their ability to focus on anything, removing their ability to be disciplined, you're taking them from God. Most of these children today are so messed up from TikTok, they can't even focus on one page of a book, any book, because all they do is scroll. Have you ever seen someone on TikTok, how fast they change video?
Yeah.
Their minds are gone. You can't even sit them down and teach them anything. Let me ask you, what is fun?
Fun is when you're...
Tell me something fun.
Something fun? I think this is fun.
Except this is work.
True. Okay.
What's fun?
Okay. Fun is when you're having a lot of joy and less work.
But what if you have joy during your work?
I do have joy when I work.
So do I.
I love work.
All I do is work. And people say, what do you mean all you do is work? Because
But
there's
you enjoy what
nothing,
you're doing.
There's nothing else to do anyway. The only time I'm not working is if I'm fighting, which you can still consider work because I consider it training. Or sometimes I'll drive one of my 53 cars in a circle. I'll go out racing around the mountains in a Ferrari, but I'll film it all. It'll end up being on the internet, so it'll end up being work.
Yeah.
So what do I do that's not work that I enjoy? I mean, I look at people who are having fun, and those are the people who I don't believe are chasing pride or chasing happiness, and I feel like they're wasting their lives. Trying to have fun, trying to be happy is the biggest waste of life. You know what I saw the other day? It's remarkable. You're not going to believe this. I saw thousands of people take drugs and stand close to each other in a big sweaty pit, like a bunch of peasants, and jump up and down listening to a song they could listen to on YouTube for free. And they paid money to do it. It was called a festival, and it was disgusting. And I see these humans stand there. I'm like, what the fuck? No wonder you're fucking broke. You're an idiot. You're dumb as fuck. You're a moron. Like, festivals are crap. Concerts are crap. Clubs are crap. What's fun? Nothing's fun. The only thing that's fun is masculine achievement and being respected for being monumentally successful and competent and crushing your enemies with your brutal brilliance. Turning up and saying, I'm going to make more money than all of you. I'm going to be more famous than all of you. I'm the best. Watch me. And winning. That is fun. And then the only thing
that's video games, but you're doing it in real life.
I'm doing it in real life. I have no time for games. House arrest, we found a few hours. Now I'm back out here in the real world. Everyone must pay the price. But even then, the only things that I find fun now, the only thing I do for fun is, okay, I'll take my SF90 around a circle. That's a $700,000 car. My fun's expensive. I need a lot of money to even find anything I find remotely entertaining. A beautiful friend of mine, she's in Bali, and she's like, I can't wait till we're free. We're gonna go to Bali, look at this villa. Da, da, da. I'm like, if I went to that villa, do you know what I would do? I was like, what are you doing there? She's like, oh, I'm doing yoga, and I had breakfast, and then I'm looking at the forest, and we're gonna go see the monkeys. Da, da. So if I went to Bali, do you know what I'd do? I'd sit on my laptop. I would turn up at the villa and go, which room's mine? Okay, laptop. Coffee, please. Coffee, laptop. It'd be the same as Romania in Bali. And when I go to Dubai, it's the same. That's what I do. I work. And I want to make this very clear to people because I find it amazing when people say they don't have motivation. I have people come to me and say, I want to get rich. I don't have motivation. I want to work harder. I said, how can you not have motivation to get rich when somebody like me with a head start like mine is still working 18-hour days every single day, 7 days a week without having a day off? I'm going to crush you. You don't stand a chance. I will beat you. And you're just going to sit there and perpetually lose because you can't find the motivation to crawl up out the mud and stay a bug until you end up in your 15-minute city getting your 17th injection like a dummy, like a useless eater. All I do is work. Nothing is fun. I don't have fun. I don't even understand
sports.
I don't understand the concept of fun. The only sport I ever did was beating the shit out of people. Is that fun?
Why did you get into fighting?
Because I was a chess player. And chess and fighting are remarkably similar.
Very. You have to know what your next move is going to be countering his next move.
And there's no luck. If you lose, you made a mistake. There's no such thing as a lucky punch. If I'm losing a fight, or if I'm beating some guy up, and he hits me with one shot and knocks me out, and people go, that's a lucky punch. He's trained his whole life to punch people in the face, and he punched me in the face. You call that lucky? I call that good. I think it was a very good punch. Excellent. Probably his best punch of his career. No such thing as lucky punches. Same thing with chess. If
And
you
also
lose,
you left your guard down.
Absolutely. It's my fault. Same thing with chess. Brutal self-accountability. If you lose, you made a mistake somewhere. How do you learn that? You have to go back, reflect. You have to watch the game back, play the game back. Where did I make the mistake? You don't blame your opponent. You blame yourself always in chess. It's self-accountability. So when I stopped playing professional chess, I decided to move over to fighting because they're very similar. It's one-on-one. It's not a team sport. So that's why I chose to fight, but I never considered fighting fun. I never took it as, ha, 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 this is fun. I was out to hurt people, for real. So I can't think of what I do for fun or any fun I've ever had. I am, of course, human. I love sitting around with my boys and laughing. I don't think there's any higher experience for men than sitting around with your boys having a laugh and having a joke. I think that's as good as life gets. You can have $1 billion like me, or you can be at the bottom. But if you're with 5 people you truly love, your guys, and you've been with them and you trust them, and you're smoking a cigar or not, and you're sitting around telling stories and everyone's laughing, that's as good as life gets.
It really is.
At the top of the bottom.
On jet or
on the jet or homeless.
In the trenches.
It doesn't matter what. Yeah, on the jet, all you do is that, and at the bottom, all you do is that. So that's as good as life gets, anyway. So I'll consider that fun. If you want to feel happy inside of yourself, and you want to feel content, and you want to feel stable inside of yourself, you need to live true to God. And I'm not saying you can't drink a little bit of alcohol or not party or not have a little bit of fun, but you have to be a good person.
You have to balance life.
You have to balance life. You have to be a good person overall. I know I'm a good person, and when the Matrix is trying to convince the world that I'm not, that just proves even further that I'm a good person. The world we now live in today, when the mass media machine is trying to tell you somebody is evil, you can know pretty well that person's probably good, and vice versa. Like, there's a reason they are trying so hard to convince people to ignore their own ears. People listen to my message and go, that's a positive message. And the media machine's going, no, it's not positive. He's bad. They're trying to brainwash you.
Yeah.
I think the best salespeople in the world are double glazing salesmen.
What is that?
Windows double glazing salesmen.
Why is that?
I think that must be the hardest sales job. Because if you sell cars, for example, somebody turns up on the car lot and they've turned up at the Audi dealership because they have a degree of respect for the Audi brand and they maybe want an Audi, and you have to convince them it's better than the BMW and make sure they can afford it and sell them the Audi. Okay, fine. But if you're going to sell somebody windows, they don't have any. They already have windows in their house. You're not turning up to some crack den with no windows. So firstly, you have to make them want the windows.
Right.
That's the first thing you have to do. You unsolicitedly knock on someone's door and say, I'm here to give you windows. And they're gonna say, I have windows, I don't want windows. And then you're gonna sit there and convince them that they need windows. And then once you've convinced them of that, you have to convince them to choose you over all your competitors and spend thousands and thousands of dollars, $20,000 or $30,000 replacing plastic and glass that they already had in their walls. I think that'd be a very hard job to do, and I think that would make you a very good salesman. But life is sales in general, right? You have to be able to make people understand the way you think, and I think that's all sales effectively is. It's having thoughts and being able to project them in a way that people follow them logically and want to agree with you or are inclined to agree with you at the end. So I think life is sales. Getting a girl to fall in love with you to a degree is sales. And convincing a judge you're innocent is sales.
And it builds tremendous character and resilience.
We have to
yeah.
get used to being rejected.
Yeah, hundreds and hundreds of times over. Yeah, it builds character.
And it's amazing how if you start a sales job and you're rejected at the beginning, it's such a big deal, but after a while, the rejection just doesn't sting anymore.
Yeah.
Which perhaps answers back earlier when we were talking about my confidence to sit here and say things that get me in trouble. It just doesn't sting anymore.
Did you?
This will come out and the BBC will type up something about what I said and how bad of a person I am, and I won't care. It just doesn't matter anymore. So I'm that guy now. I just keep knocking at the door of fate. I keep knocking at the door waiting for them to eventually grab me and throw me in the cell. So we'll see how it goes.
But you put yourself in a position where all your fun could be work.
Of course. But my point is, I don't understand or I don't fathom the concept of fun. I don't wake up and think, what can I do for fun? I don't wake up and think, what is fun? I want fun. That never crosses my mind. I wake up and think, I have things to do. And if I don't have things to do, I'll find things to do. You can always do more work. There's no such thing as no work to do. After this podcast is done, you can release it and you can make X amounts of clips. That's going to be done. And then you could watch it back and you could analyze every word you've ever said and you could find a way to say it differently. You could look at dictionary and find new words and you could learn them and you can memorize them all. Then you could sit down and you could rehearse it and use those words and sentences to make sure you pronounce them correctly and you don't make any mistakes. Then you could always do more work from the same thing. The work is never ending. The money is never ending.
So you have to find joy in your work.
You have to find purpose at least. I don't know if I even find joy in my work because I'm stressed and annoyed. I'm furious all the time. What do you mean we've made $1.3 million today? It's a joke. Flip the computer. But it's you have to conquer the earth. Why? Let's talk about this. Why did Genghis Khan wake up and think, you know what? What can I do for fun? Well, I can play this instrument. That's shit. Play the instrument for me. Diddly-ling. Boring. Okay, let me fuck this girl. Fucked her. Let me fuck her. Oh, kid number 84. Boring. What's there to do? You know what, guys? Let's all get our horses and let's just ride over there and whatever we find, let's just take it. Why? Because it's the instinct to conquer. It's inside of a man. It's been dumbed down by the Matrix. They try and numb you. They numb you with entertainment. They try and put you in the festival crowd. They numb you with shit food. They numb you with depression, all this other garbage. But truthfully, if you're a man, you look in the mirror, what will make me happy? My empire will make me happy. That's why Alexander the Great did what he did, and Julius Caesar did what he did, and Genghis Khan did what he did. They didn't have Google Maps. They didn't know where they were going. They just said, no, we've decided we're going to go take shit from other people and show we're the best. And that's what we're doing now, the successful men at least, in a financial sense. Why am I making money? I have nothing to buy. There's nothing to buy. I have it all. I have 4 Kernan's eggs, a Rimac, a Bugatti, 53 other cars, 40 properties. There's nothing to buy. I'm just taking it from other people. I'm winning the game. I'm conquering. And that's what I think truly is going to give you purpose in life. It's just conquest. Men have always been this way. That's why war was even happening in the first place. The Mongols raided Vienna. How long does it take to ride from Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, on a horse to Vienna, Austria, across all of Siberia? And they were still mad enough and bored enough to go, nah, we need that city over there. That's the masculine essence, and it's been numbed down inside of people. Do you think they were ever considering fun at any point during this conquest? Because I don't think they were.
Well, do you think they were just trying to dominate others?
I don't think it's about trying to dominate. I think that inside of every single man, there's a God-given. I think that the entire world was built by this God-given drive to conquer. And to conquer doesn't always mean dominate others. You can conquer the sky by building a skyscraper. You can conquer by building roads. You can conquer by construction, not only by destruction. You conquer by turning up to a new territory and having a beautiful family and creating children. I think that's inside of every single man. I think it's been dumbed down by the Matrix, but I'm uninterested in fun. I don't understand the concept of fun. Fun is for women and children. All the women around me have fun. Last night, I went to a restaurant. My brother and I, 3 or 4 friends, maybe 25 of the most beautiful women you've ever seen in your life. We sit down at this table, all this fancy food comes, all these bottles of champagne come, everyone comes, the girls are laughing, drinking, everyone's having fun. Never at any point during the entire experience did I have any fun. I sat down on my phone, checked how much money I had, again, did some work, replied to important people, spoke to my fight coach about training and important things, spoke to the war room about important things in conquest, spoke to my legal team. Everyone around me is having fun. I'm getting things done. Looks like I'm having fun. But never did I ever for a second feel fun. And I didn't want to. I didn't try and join in the fun. I didn't try and go, yeah. No. I pay for it all. You all have fun. I'm going to do this. And I say this. I say this all the time to the people I care about. Your life is fun and my life is stress, but you are mine. That's how it works. You're my woman, so you're allowed to have fun. And my life is going to stay stressed, but you are mine. I have my fun via proxy by making sure everybody I love have fun. I don't want any fun.
So you have fun in providing.
I provide fun, but I don't have any fun. I don't even have fun in providing fun. It's just my obligation. Everyone around me has fun. I'm working. And I cannot explain to people at home.
Does Tristan have the same mindset of this? Or does he like to have more fun?
He likes to have a little bit more fun than I do.
I can see that he looks a little bit happier.
But it's not happy. This is the point. I want to make this very clear to the people at home. I don't want anyone at home to think that I'm unhappy or depressed or miserable from this. This is just how I view the world. I don't want to have fun. I don't know how else to say it. I don't look at fun and go, I'm missing out. I look at fun and going, I'm glad they're enjoying their fun. It's like food. Do you want this cake? No. Well, everyone else wants it. I'm glad they want the cake. Cake tastes good. That's great. But I don't want the cake. I want something else. I will provide the cake. I'm a baker. I can give you cake, but I don't want any. I don't think in the concept of fun. I don't enjoy fun ever. All I want to do is monumentally achieve endlessly. That's all I'm interested in.
So am I hard on myself? Yes. Will that change? No. Life is war. Life is hard. You're supposed to be hard on yourself. Perhaps most men would benefit from being a lot harder on themselves. I think I see a lot of men coming up with a lot of excuses for permanent failure. I see it all the time. Why? I can't pay my bills today. Okay, cool. Why? Oh, because it's hard. It's all just sympathy bull. I don't want to hear it. It's garbage. It's hard. It's hard for everybody, and you're gonna have to just be harder on yourself and pull it off, or fail. And don't talk to me. Bro, it's. I don't know what to say. I don't want to come across as a psychopath, but it's like life is difficult, and also, I mean, we all know that there's always someone who has it worse, but that's true. I mean, we're in Romania. You can drive 5 hours to the border and you'll find men in a ditch getting blown apart by drones. You're crying over what? A bitch left you? A girl left you? Some chick who doesn't love you anymore? And you're not going to do your work because of it? Well, then you're just born to lose.
And this is the ultimate position of the slave mind, because there are people who have a visceral reaction of anger towards me or towards you or towards anyone you can name. And they feel an emotion, right? An emotion's a real thing. Anger is a real thing. They'll feel a visceral emotion for a person they've never met based on an edited news segment from a propaganda organization.
They're going to sit there and go, well, this propagandist has told me this, and now I feel rage towards this person I've never met. They haven't investigated anything. They haven't dived down the rabbit hole. They don't care. They just instantly comply and believe. If they can make you feel emotions with a short edited clip, well, then you are the enemy of freedom. You are the exact type of people they want, so they can play clips on the news, you get angry, and do whatever they tell you to do. You're the worst person in the world. And another thing that people just lack so much brain, if they were to come to me and say, Michael's got a new case, he's back on the streets, crime boss, they put it all over the news and tell you your past and you're a crime boss, and they say, look, here's an indictment. I'm gonna say, so wait, the police wrote this and the media wrote that. So I don't care about any of it. It's all a lie. It's all a scam because it's a one-sided story. People are going to be full-grown adults and not understand that one-sided stories always end one way. You can't ask the media or the police anything about anybody. And then the scary thing about all of this is what we were talking about earlier. If you actually do a crime, like a bad, heinous thing, you rob a grandma, they seem to let you off. They don't seem to punish you like they used to.
No.
And that's a really big rabbit hole to go down as to why they're doing that and why they're trying to make society so unsafe. Perhaps it's because the only thing the human mind will accept a reduction in freedom for is safety. The only thing that will make you say, okay, take my freedom, but make me safe. So the worse things get, the more dangerous it becomes to leave your house, you might end up agreeing to being locked in your house. And okay, you deliver my food, you deliver my bugs, and I'll stay home because it's dangerous out there. That's the only thing we'll give up freedom for is safety.
You're right.
So that's why it's getting more and more crazy by the day.
What's the worst advice anyone's ever given you?
That's a good question. I've seen a lot of bad advice on the internet. I never really listened to anybody. So it's hard for me to talk about advice because I never listened to it. The traditional path to wealth is terrible advice. To go to university, get a degree, get a job, blah, blah, blah. That's terrible advice. We already know that. We talked about that. I think follow your passion is also a terrible piece of advice.
Yeah?
Yeah. People say, hey, man, you need to find what you're passionate about and do that. And what they're trying to say is only do what you like because you have no motivation to do anything else. And motivation in and of itself is a scam. I don't believe in motivation. I believe in discipline. I am not motivated to do the things I'm supposed to do every day. I don't wake up full of like joy that I have to go to the gym or that I have to work or got to deal with crap. I don't feel motivated to do them. I'm disciplined. I do them regardless of how I feel. Whether I'm in the mood to do it or I'm not in the mood to do it, it gets done. That's discipline. Discipline's a real thing. Motivation is fleeting.
Yeah.
You're never going to be permanently motivated. So when someone comes along and says, oh, do what you're passionate about, what they're saying is you'll have endless motivation and then you'll be able to try hard. If you're the kind of person who can only try hard at something he enjoys, then you're going to fail. Because most things you enjoy don't pay any money. If they paid money, you wouldn't enjoy them. It's called a job, right? Nobody likes their job. You like your hobby. I'm sure you like playing video games. Maybe 1%, 0.1% can make money from video games, right? Most people, you ain't ever going to make it.
Yeah.
Do you think the guy in China who owns a concrete plant is passionate about concrete? Do you think he's sitting there stroking it at night, naked in bed? Fuck no. It's money. Be passionate about success. If you're passionate about money, then you can be passionate about anything. I'll be passionate about any business on earth that pays me. If you pay me $1 billion to dig that hole, I'll be very passionate about that hole. I will dig that hole with passion for the cash.
Yeah, because you know the cash.
For the money.
Yeah.
That's right. So when people come along and say, oh, you need to find something you're passionate about, follow your passion. Bro, you're going to follow your passion to the fucking food bank. You're never going to make any money that way. You have to sit there and go, what is going to pay me? And I often talk, there's another thing we teach inside of Hustlers University and also the War Room. The War Room is a network I have, which is a level above HU. Mm-hmm. Everything I've talked about with brotherhood and people you can trust and capable people, that's what the War Room is. The War Room are people who have come along and we've all agreed, very much like me and Tristan have a relationship. It's 2,100 men now in 72 countries, and we've all basically signed a contract. We're brothers now. So I have 15 businesses operate inside of there. Businesses are opening all the time. No one's ever been snaked. No one's ever been robbed. It's just 2,100 guys making money all around the world. We're doing everything you can possibly imagine, bro. From selling olive oil to private jets, you name it. We got it all going on. So this is serious. It's very much like the Freemasons, but cooler.
I'd like to ask you, like right now, in this moment, are you happy? Is this like the happiest moment you've been in your life? Or can you think back to a time where you were like, this is the happiest moment of my life?
I don't believe in the societal paradigms in which they have tried to construct this idea of happiness. I don't believe or subscribe to the way that happy and sad is currently understood by the masses of the population. I think if you are anything less than absolutely distraught, you are happy. You're a version of happy. It's like saying gray is a version of black, right? No matter how light the gray is, you can still call it a version of black. And unless you've gone through an event, which hopefully doesn't happen too often, like the passing of a family member or something that's truly destructive and detrimental to your mindset, besides these events, which hopefully only happen a few times in your life, you should be happy. If you're not crying or paralyzed in silence due to the absolute magnitude of a detrimental circumstance or the absolute magnitude of a negative event, then you are a version of happy. So I am always happy is the short answer. I don't believe in not being happy. I don't believe in not saying to myself I'm happy. I'm always a version of happy. And this idea of chasing happiness and always being concerned and preoccupied with how happy you are is actually the biggest mistake that a lot of people make, I think, in the world today. Especially men who wake up and go, oh, I don't really feel happy, so I need to get happier. And that's how they end up down a hedonistic path of drugs or alcohol or gambling, chasing pleasure. I don't care how I feel. I don't care if I feel happy or sad. It doesn't really affect what I do each day. I do the exact same things. I act the exact same way. I don't care. I don't put weight to the significance of the emotion. So I always consider myself a happy person, but if I woke up and I was slightly less happy one day than another, it wouldn't affect anything I do and I wouldn't put any relevance to it. I'm human and that's life. And so am I any happier now that I have hundreds of millions of dollars than before I was broke? Not really, but I was never unhappy. I'm the same state that I was then that I am now. I have work to do and I will do it. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, very well put. Yeah, no, but you're right. Definitely, I've heard like the chase for happiness, and the more you try to seek happiness, the more you enforce in yourself that you're not happy.
Well, also, there's no light without dark, and there's no joy without pain. You can't have a rainbow without a little rain.
Exactly.
And no matter how hard you chase pleasure and happiness, there's going to be dips and troughs in between. There's going to be come downs and downtrends. And you're going to have the juxtaposition between that time you were laughing your head off and acting giddish like a child and the time that you feel depressed as such. And I think it's much better to just adopt a very disciplined, stoic mindset. I'm always the same base level of happy regardless. If I lost all of my money today, I would be the same happy. Mm-hmm. If my net worth quadrupled, I'd be the same happiness.
Yeah.
As long as I'm alive, which is a struggle, unfortunately, in the current climate. But as long as I'm alive and the people I care about and love are alive, and as long as God gives me the honor of doing my duties and providing for the people I care about, as long as I get to wake up and know that there's a whole bunch of people in the world who need me and I get to work hard to please them and do good for society and good for the world, then I'm a vessel of God and I'm happy enough to survive. That's all I look at it as. I don't ever consider how do I feel. That doesn't cross my mind. I have things to do. I have things to do.
You're too busy to think about that.
I'm too busy. I have things to do every single day. I have very important things to do, and how I feel really is not going to affect how I complete those tasks.
Right.
And when I speak to men, they say I'm unhappy or I need to be happier. I think that's absolutely the wrong frame of life. You're a man. You have duty. You have honor. You have things you should be doing regardless of how you feel. And the people who are perma-obsessed with happiness or sadness, I just think it's the wrong paradigm to view the lens of life. I think you should get up and do what needs to be done.
Yeah, man. You're a positive influence, man. I don't know what's all the stuff, man. You're just reinforcing positivity in people.
I'm absolutely a positive influence, and that's the problem. The key word there is influence. The reason the Matrix has attacked me is because of that. It's because I am an influence.
Yeah.
And when
they don't like influence.
They don't like influence because I've not sold my soul. They don't control me. And normally when you become massively influential, they control you. You either sign a contract or you're a sponsor or you're a manager,
a record label,
whatever. They have some kind of leverage over you to make sure you only say what you are supposed to say. I'm an individual which they do not control. I have mass influence over the population of Earth.
Yeah.
And when you have somebody like me who is principled, who has morals, who believes in God, who will not sell their soul, will not promote degeneracy, who also has mass influence, they see me as a threat because they say there are certain agendas which he will not promote because of his morality.
Right.
And we need immoral people who have sold their souls absolutely and completely, so they'll enforce the slave programming amongst the population. So they see me as a threat because of my mass influence. And me being positive in and of itself is also a threat to the establishment because they don't want people to be happy. They want you to be semi-depressed and sad and miserable because when you're sad, you're self-obsessed.
And you're distracted.
you're distracted and you're self-obsessed. When you're sad, you're sitting at home, me. It makes you very selfish. You don't care about your community when you're sad. You don't care about your country when you're sad. You don't care about the injustices of the world when you're sad. You don't care about trying to actually go and make the world a better place because you're too busy thinking about yourself. So they want you miserable, semi-depressed, sad, unhappy, so that you can sit at home and accept them doing whatever they want to the planet and other people without ever talking or standing up or doing the right thing. If you're happy and motivated, you're going to be far more likely to fight against injustices. So the fact that I have mass influence and I can just make people feel better is a threat to them. They don't want me to make people feel better. They talk about men's mental health and pretend to care, but when I come along and genuinely help and stop people from committing suicide, they delete me. They don't want that. They want everybody semi-depressed. They want you miserable. They want you distracted so that you're too busy crying your eyes out in a room somewhere or sitting in deep thought, worrying about this girl who left you, so they can just continue to run the world.
Yeah, because if you're thinking about yourself, you're not thinking about the new rules that are going out or the new stuff that's going on. But
you're not thinking about the work of the devil, which is what's happening right now. We're currently in a fight of good versus evil. It's genuinely that serious. This is whether it's the Bible or the Quran or any superhero movie, this is the battle of good versus evil. And anybody who's sitting who doesn't see that every armed conflict on the planet, the conflict for our minds, the way the Matrix is attempting to control us, this is genuinely a battle of God versus Satan. And if you think that you can just sit idly by while these two titans go to war and you're not going to end up caught up in the crossfire, then you're absolutely and utterly ignorant at best, a coward at worst, and I think it's most likely cowardice. We're in the middle of the greatest battle that humankind has ever faced, and unless people stand up and actually try and fight hard for good and for God, then we're going to end up in absolute tyrannical slavery.
you know, while you're talking right now, it's just making me think. The way you talk, it's like really articulate. It's like really intriguing, and you're well informed on many different topics. So were you always like this? And like, how did you build this? Like, did you read books, or you know what I mean? How did you become so well informed on everything? How did you talk so articulately?
Good question. I don't read books. I'm actually famous for saying I've read one book in my life. In my adult life, I've read one book, and I was in a jail cell, so I had nothing else to do. No, I don't read books because books are slow. And I think the world we now live in today is about speed. Speed is absolutely and utterly important.
Everything must spans are like this.
Absolutely. And everything must be done as quickly as possible. And Darwin said it, even though I'm not a proponent of evolution, he said it's the most adaptable member of the species that survives. I will change it and say nowadays the quickest member of the species survives. It's not about being the biggest or the strongest, it's about being the quickest, the most adaptable to change. And to read a book is just too many human hours for the amount of information and knowledge you get. So I don't read books. I think they're slow. I think they're a waste of time. I think a lot of it's mental masturbation for people to sit there and say, I want to get smarter, so I read books. And I talk to these people, they're not even smart.
Yeah.
I know everything about everything because of my life. Yeah. It's been varied and it's been very difficult. And I'm perspicacious and I pay attention and I learn my lessons. And that's how I know everything about everything. I don't need to read books. Yeah. There's not a subject you can name right now where I don't know something about.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed.
Yeah, you name it. Korean War, anything. You name it, I know something about something. That's just what happens when you get to a certain level of intelligence, because you can apply scenarios and
patterns. It's all patterns.
It's all patterns, absolutely. And history may not repeat, but it certainly rhymes, and humanity all acts in a pretty similar way across all cultures. And once you get an X amount of knowledge in one place, you can basically apply it and extrapolate it out to anything.
Anything, yeah. No, and you're right about the reading books thing. A lot of people, there's like this new, like basically they become like self-help junkies, where they're just trying to seek self-help books, and they think to themselves like, I'm doing something productive because I'm reading a book. But actually, you have so much work that you could actually do to actually like implement what the book says. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is with reading a book is it's a reward without any risk. And this is why I think a lot of people are proponents of reading, and they say reading, because nothing can really go wrong besides wasting your time in life, of course, but they don't believe that. I am a much larger proponent of larger risks and larger rewards. If you want to learn about self-help, if you want to understand yourself and see what kind of man you really are, and learn how to fight through adversity, and learn how to get up when life's difficult, and learn how to control your mind, and learn how to struggle, then you can go to the boxing gym and you can get your ass kicked. You do not need to read any books. You need to get in the gym, walk in there and say, I'm going to fight the best fighter here every single day, and not quit until you can eventually beat him. But most people are not man enough for that. So instead they'll read a self-help book and they'll sit there and try and talk to me about mindset. I learned my mindset in battle. My mindset is 87 professional fights. My mindset was learned in the reality of the real world. Yeah. I don't need to read a self-help book. I don't need to read about motivation or confidence. I've been in the cage smashing people's faces in. I don't need to learn any of that stuff. So I learned in reality, and reality is always going to be a better teacher than a book, because you're not learning when you read books. You're regurgitating. You may be reading, but I don't believe you're truly learning. My coach used to say, if it doesn't hurt, you didn't learn. And I think he's completely right. And it's the same with entire life. You see people make the same mistake over and over again until it eventually goes really wrong.
Yeah.
And it's only then they'll change.
Then they change.
So absolutely. So I learned how to become self-disciplined and become self-motivated and work hard. And I learned how to face adversity and find strength within myself I didn't know I had.
Yeah.
Because people were trying to kill me inside of a cage. And you cannot replicate that by reading pages of a book. No. So it's a waste of time.
Yeah, you don't need to read about other people's experiences because you have enough of your own.
Absolutely. And yeah, so I'll actually say here right now, I'm a massive
anti-reader.
I think it's a mistake. Yeah. I think as a young man, if you want to get your life better, the most important thing you have are your waking hours. You need to be out competing all the other people on the planet who are hyper competitive. And if you think you have 8 hours to sit there and just read a book, you are wasting your time. You are too slow, and you are going to lose against people like me because we're just too quick, too fast. Our networks are too various and large, and we make decisions too quickly, and we absorb information too quickly, and you're just behind the time.
By the time you're done reading the book, the moves have been made.
But it's over, yeah. The game's over.
Yeah, but I think one good thing about reading books, especially now, especially what you were saying, is because like you said, attention spans are like this these days. When you read a book, you kind of learn to train yourself to like take information a bit slowly. It kind of helps your focus a bit more. That's
true, and we certainly have an attention span problem. Even I have it myself to a degree, but I think that's just the way the world is moving. I think you need to get ADHD, and you need to learn to control it within certain paradigms. You need to be able to sit and say, yes, I struggle to focus on this one particular video, for example, but as a whole, I can keep my focus within the parameters of work, whether I'm watching this video and talking on Telegram and replying to this email and reading this, just do it all at once. I mean, that's what I do. I've had people come into my office and say, are you on a phone call and playing chess and reading a web page at the same time? I'm like, yes. I'll be reading what I need to read and on the phone and at the same time playing chess. Otherwise, my brain's not full enough.
You need to be stimulated.
Yeah. So, yeah, can I focus on one thing? Not easily, but am I massively successful doing enormous amounts of work? Yes, every single day.
Yeah,
so
that's the most important thing.
It's just staying within the parameters of constructive. If what you're doing with your energy is constructive and you're within those parameters, then you're going to be massively successful anyway.
I don't think money changes you. I think money amplifies you. I think if you're a real man and you get rich, you're a good man, like Trump or like us. If you're a pussy and you get rich, you become worse than ever. You become, like we talked, a weak, dictatorial, insane, evil person.
And we're surrounded by them.
That's right. So you need all of the character building, bad times, being broke. You need all that before you're rich. The worst thing that can happen to you is you get rich at 19. Imagine a 19-year-old boy who's filthy rich. He's an idiot. So, but society's just got them all messed up now. And I feel like they've lost vested interest in the future of themselves and society, which probably ties back into why people are getting away with what they're getting away with, because they look at the politicians, they go, oh, it's a scam anyway, it's all a lie, who cares, it's all bullshit. I give up, I don't stand a chance anyway, I give up, I don't care. Let it all burn. Let's make memes and make fun of it burning.
You've seen a lot of that?
That's all you see.
Yeah.
There's like, the world is burning, and instead of trying to put it out, let's just laugh at it burn. It's all just one big joke. Ha ha ha, it's all burning, oh well. Oops, who cares? There's a lot of that. And then you look at it from a global perspective. How can a Western country compete when its youth thinks that compared to a country whose youth don't believe that? A country whose youth believe, no, we're going to work hard and we're going to dedicate ourselves and our nation's going to take over. Because it's easy to become champ. It's hard to stay champ.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with America now. You're trying to stay champ. Well, there's people coming for your belt, Rocky. And, Mr. T's training and he's built different because he's hungry. And we don't have that hunger in our society anymore. It's all gone. So how long can we truly possibly compete? You go deeper down the rabbit hole, you realize the only reason we're still competing is because we can print the dollar and we can game the financial system and we can lie and cheat and we can print these dollars because we're the global reserve currency. How long is that going to last? Who knows?
And when did you find when did you have your first taste of true money sort of thing?
That's a good question. And I think one of the reasons why I was so motivated to make money is because even when I was completely broke, through fighting, I had access to a lifestyle. I saw money, right? So, man, I can tell you stories now that even sound stupid to me. I went to Deauville, France to fight for a world title. And I was sitting there and the promoter hadn't turned up yet. And I ordered 2 waters, 2 Perrier.
Yeah.
And they came and they were like €9 each. And I paid for them. And I said to Tristan, 20 quid for fucking water. Because we're brokies. And he's like, yeah, that's crazy. And And we look around and there's all these tables just with water, champagne, food, you know, like $1,000 lunches, £1,000 lunches. No one gave a shit, right? And we're sitting there going, where are we going wrong with life? Like, we're worried about the price of water. That dude's got a lobster. He's got like a big bottle of champagne. He's got 3 chicks. Like, we're going wrong. So I always knew there was, outside of the matrix, there were these people who were living in a way that money didn't have any significance. Money wasn't real to them. So I always knew it. I was always around it, especially through fighting. I went to a bunch of crazy countries, Kazakhstan, all these places. We're in Kazakhstan, a poor country. It's just G-Wagon, 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 G-Wagon. I'm like, what's going on? Like, there are people who are living outside the matrix. And once you live outside of it, once you get to a certain level of incomes and wealth, everything becomes free. Like, when I was looking at the price of that water, no one else in that restaurant even looked at the price of anything. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm like now. I don't know the price of anything I eat or buy. If it's not a house or a car, even most supercars, G, I don't even know. If I want the new Maserati, the MC20, the Spider, I'm just going to text my boy, yeah, fully spec, every option. And it's going to come out the bank and I ain't going to notice. Like, it doesn't make a difference. If I have 11.8 million or 11.4 million,
what difference
does it make? It doesn't mean anything. Yeah. So you get to a point where the whole world's free. And then you start just buying stuff, not because you want it, but because it's completely free. So even if you 1% want it, right? You're like, oh, well, maybe I might use it once. 400 G's. I might drive it one day this summer.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how you get to. It's the same way people just buy coffee at a whim. You end up doing that with everything. So I always knew that kind of life existed. I used to talk with my brother about it all the time. I was like, bro, we're doing something wrong. Something doesn't add up. We're still thinking in terms of like make money, spend money, money in the bank. There's people who are living for free and they just point at things and they get everything they want. And my brother used to call me crazy. He's like, what are you talking about? I was like, no, there's the matrix. We're inside the system. We need to escape. And now I managed to find a way out. So I always knew it existed. I was always looking for it. And it does exist, man. You can get to a point of income. You can get to a point of wealth generation where literally everything, I don't know how else to say it. I want to say it in a more articulate way for the sake of the podcast. The only way I can explain it is everything is free. That's how I view the world. Everything's free. If I want something, it's free. I want dinner's free, coffee's free, supercars are free, private jets are free. It's free. It's free. I just want it because all they want is numbers on a screen, and numbers on a screen are what's the numbers on a screen? It's nothing. It's free. I don't know how else to say it. You're telling me if I give you some numbers on a screen, you're gonna go and build me a W16 fucking Bugatti Chiron Pure Sport, and you're gonna deliver it to me in my house, and you're gonna put it in the color I want, and it's gonna be gorgeous and beautiful, and everyone's gonna be jealous, and you're gonna do that, and all you want is a few numbers on a screen? Safe.
Take it.
Take it. I don't give a fuck. It's free. I don't know how else to explain it. That's the world. That's the level the world gets to.
You know what? I think now is a good point to transition all the way back to now you understand your lifestyle, how it is now. Let's dive it all the way back to the point where you're a brokey.
Brokey. Yeah, the good old days. The good old days.
Yeah.
Some of the best days of my life were brokey days. Bro.
You think, yeah?
Yeah, man, I miss the brokey days.
Why?
Because when you have limitations,
money makes it fun though.
Money does make life fun, but when you have limitations, you're better at living in the moment and you're better at appreciating things. So what happens is now at my point, right? No matter how much fun I'm having, it's always, even if it's only 1% in the back of my mind, that it could be more fun somewhere else. If I can go anywhere I want all the time with no limitations, I never have to turn up to a job. I don't have anything I have to do. I can go anywhere, right? And I got a plane waiting for me. If I'm in Marbella in the middle of a party, no matter how good that party is, how much fun I'm having, whatever girls I'm with, whatever, and my boy texts me from Mykonos saying it's going off in Mykonos. Part of me is thinking, should I just... I can get there by it's 3 a.m. now. I can be there before the club closes in Mykonos. And then it's hard to just live in the moment and be happy with what you're doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because there's unlimited choices. It's like going to Tesco. If there's only one sandwich, it's fine. If there's 100 sandwiches, you start reading every sandwich. Yeah. Which one's the one I want? Maybe that one was better. So the brokey days were good days, bro, man. Like I'd get McDonald's and you're laughing with your boys. Yeah. The brokey days are great. And I'm not complaining about being rich. Obviously I worked hard for this and it's a fantastic life I live now. But I think without those brokey days, without those original days to compare it to, without that juxtaposition, then I don't think being rich would be fun at all. I think it's only fun because you can compare it to the days when you weren't rich. That's the only thing that makes it fun. The only thing that makes a $10,000 steak fun is that you can laugh saying how you never had 10 grand in your bank till you were 27 years old.
Yeah.
Like otherwise it's boring. Otherwise steak. And I think if you're born with too much money, that you'll never truly be happy. I think you need the brokey days. They're the best days.
Yeah, because some people are literally brought up rich, born into money, essentially.
Yep.
You know, if your dad's born, if you're born and your dad's got Ferraris, Lamborghinis and stuff like that,
Yep.
you think that they're not really experiencing true fun, happiness sort of thing, because they don't know the difference.
It's not the destination, it's the journey. And humans, we all work in regards to, it's even the way the human body works, right? If you're driving at 200 miles an hour, you don't feel it. You only feel the acceleration getting to 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So if you're born at 200 miles an hour, it doesn't feel fast. It doesn't feel fun. Me, my life feels fun now because of all the acceleration to get here, and I can remember the times when I was stuck by the side of the motorway without a car.
Yeah.
So I have that juxtaposition. Without that, it's not even interesting. It's not even fun. So the brokey days, anyone who's out here who's broke, good. These will be the happiest days of your life once you made it. You just got to remember everything and sit around with your boys. I mean, maybe some people change with money. Maybe if you get new friends and things change, but I hang around with the exact same people I did when I was poor. I got the same friends. I live with the same people, the same guys, same jokes, nothing's changed for me. So for me, I'm just a broke guy with a bunch of money. That's all that's happened.
Just the financial situations have changed.
Yeah, the financial situation's changed. That's it.
Yeah, no, that's basically true. And about your confidence, is that also from these experiences, or how does one like become this confident? And especially another thing is, you seem like you really love yourself, and which is a good thing. But how does someone go about loving themselves?
I'm proud of myself, and I deserve to be.
Yeah.
Most people don't deserve to be proud of themselves.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. A lot of people say, I have confidence issues. And I say, if I was you, I would have confidence issues. Of course. I completely understand why you have confidence issues. You're a dork. But we have to be realistic here. We have to be absolutely and utterly realistic, because the world is brutal and it's harsh. If you're not proud of yourself, you probably don't deserve to be proud of yourself, so you're not going to feel happy. And you just talked about confidence. Confidence comes from competence. The reason I'm confident is because I'm good at everything.
Right.
I'm good at everything I do. The things I'm not good at, I'm not confident in, of course. And I know what they are. I don't do them very often. I've now created my reality to the point where I don't do anything I'm not good at.
You just hire.
I either hire or I just don't want to do it. Like I don't play darts.
Yeah.
I'm not good at darts, right?
Like
I do what I'm good at. Yeah. So yeah, I'm absolutely and utterly confident because I'm absolutely and utterly competent, and that takes practice and discipline and motivation, and you need to fail a few times. You need to get up. And like I said earlier, when I learned my entire mindset in professional fighting and chess, the two combined, that's how it comes down to. And when people say, I have confidence issues, usually I can look them up and down and say, yeah, if I was you, I would completely and utterly struggle with confidence issues. Because the world is competitive, and there's men like me on the planet and friends like mine on the planet, and you're competing against us for money, for girls, for status, for resource, and you're going to be destroyed and decimated the entire time. So of course you have confidence issues when you can be annihilated in real time by the competitor.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you have confidence issues? You'd be psychopathic not to.
Yeah, that makes sense. So maybe that unconfidence is a good motivation for them to actually.
Well, it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
This is the thing that I don't truly understand. If I'm unhappy with something and I'm uncomfortable with something, I fix it.
Yeah.
That's endless motivation, which I don't truly believe in as a concept, but that's endless fuel for the fire.
Right.
If I was unhappy with something about myself, regardless of what it was, I would be able to take all of that discomfort and turn it into endless energy to get the problem fixed.
Yeah, exactly.
But these people seem to
It's okay to be unhappy.
Yeah, well, these people seem to sit and say, I'm really unhappy with X, but then stay doing X. So I don't believe they're truly actually unhappy. What you'll notice if you live life long enough is that somebody will sit and say to you, I'm unhappy being a loser. You say, why are you a loser? I just sit at home and play video games 7 days a week. And you're like, okay. And maybe 3 days of the week, they're unhappy doing that.
Yeah.
And that's the time they email you, and that's the time they want to make a change. But 4 days of the week, they don't really, it doesn't really bother them.
Yeah,
it doesn't really bother them. Because if it bothered them 7 days a week, guess what?
They would fix it.
Correct. Yeah. So I have very little sympathy for people. And that's not because I'm not a nice person, but it's because I've been so hard on myself, and I've been through so many things that were difficult, and I've been through so much pain and trauma myself. Some of it self-inflicted, some of it given to me by God to make me a better person. But I've been so difficult on myself. It's very hard for me to look at somebody who's refused to be difficult on themselves and see them as my equal or feel sympathy or pity for them. Why would I feel pity for somebody who took the easy route when I took the hardest possible route? Yeah. I took the hardest possible way to be the man I am, and you were too big of a and now you want me to feel sorry for you? I don't feel sorry for you. Yeah. I don't feel sorry for these people. And because as a man, you can be anything you decide you want to be. That's the beauty of being a male. You can build your character completely from the ground up, just like a video game. Every single thing about me that people respect, I built. I was not born a world champion kickboxer. I was not born this intelligent or intellectual. I was not born this rich. I was not born this strong. I was not born this confident. I was not born this interesting. I was not born this charismatic and humble and gorgeous and tall and strong and sexy. I was not born none of these things. I became these things myself. So I deserve all the spoils of war. And anybody who decides they don't want to work hard enough to become those things, then they deserve to sit and accept they're my inferior.
Yeah.
That's their problem.
Yeah, basically.
That's their problem.
The education system is how you morph a country. It's how you affect the country on the long term. And the things they're teaching children, they're not teaching under the guise of tolerance or we want the children to understand. No, they're trying to change the population for the future in a specific direction. Are they trying to make the population of young men, let's talk about men specifically, heroic and hardworking and strong and protective and have strong principles and boundaries? No. What are they trying to do them instead? Teach them to be tolerant and pacifist and flaccid and compliant and complicit in a bunch of garbage. And why are they trying to do that? Well, if you're going to try and raise a nation of slaves, do you want slaves that resist or slaves that comply? Which would you want? We'd want compliant slaves, of course. So if you sit and say, by the year 2100, we're going to control the money with CBDCs, and we're going to control where they go with their electric cars, and we're going to control what they're allowed to see and say, otherwise they're going to go to jail. We want to make sure we have compliant people inside of this nation, compliant slaves. We don't want people who stand up and resist this. No. So that's why me coming along with my massive influence, even doing something as simple as advocating for men to go to the gym, being strong of body and mind now is an act of resistance. Just training hard and saying no to ideas you don't agree with makes you a rebel. And if you have enough people who listen to you, like I have, they will punish you for that.
Well, I think God has created us, and I think that he has created us in his image. And I believe that life, the purpose of it is to learn, and it is to struggle, and it is to suffer. And I don't think that we are put on the planet to be happy. I actually genuinely believe we are put on the planet to learn things and to struggle and to genuinely suffer. I think that life is suffering. And I'm not saying this in a negative way. I think that if you want to be any kind of man of caliber, your life needs to be full of suffering. If you don't have that story of pain, you don't have a story at all. It's just the way the world works. You're not going to be a credible man who is respected if you don't have a bunch of pain and problems in your past. If you wake up and you're born as a man and everything goes exactly to the way you want it to and everything's nice and easy, nobody's going to respect you. And you're not even going to be happy yourself. I believe that also the masculine imperative not only is to give, like we said earlier, but it is to overcome struggle. We look at struggles and we look at problems and we want to overcome them. You just said it yourself. I want more followers. I want to get bigger. It's a problem. I want to fix it. I got to beat it. It's inside of us. So I think that all these bad things that happen to us are actually a blessing. We should be glad for all of them. We should be proud for them. I'm glad God put me in jail. That's the mental model I've decided because I refuse to believe in anything that takes power away from me. And I believe that I'll be the most powerful version of myself if I am happy that I went to jail. And if by some miracle I lose this case and they put me in jail again, the mental model I will adopt is good. Okay, God has something he needs me to learn. So I'm going to go back to the dungeon. And that's just the mental model I'm going to adapt because I think that's the best way for me to compete and be the best version of myself. So a human, I think, is a vessel designed to suffer to become a best version of itself so it can pass on lessons to the fullest of its capability to its offspring before its ultimate demise onto the final stage or the next stage of this life or whatever lives we live. So we'll see.
Testosterone has dropped for men. Men are becoming weaker, softer.
Yep.
We understand that. Why is your test so high?
Because I think your body and your mind are linked. And my mind's constantly at war. I'm constantly stressed and people are trying to hurt me. And I think that if you are waking up every day and checking your phone to see which government agencies want you gone and which problems you have and which enemies of yours are gaining ground, and you have to find a way to combat against all of this, when you have the British Broadcasting Corporation trying to spread lies about you and you have to get more views than they do, than the BBC, your mind's at constant war. And I think your body reacts to that. I think if you constantly feel like you're in a fight, then your body's going to react. Why would your body not give your mind what it believes you need? If you live a soft life or an easier life, it'll probably go down. But if you live a hard life, it'll probably shoot up. And I guess it's just a reflection of the lifestyle I live and the way my mind is operating and the pressure I'm under and the stress I'm under.
And that's also the reason it's dropping overall as a whole is not just because lives are getting easier. It's also because of the mental models they're instilling inside of men and children, like we're saying. We're not teaching them to fight back against their enemies, which would lead to an increase in testosterone. We're teaching them to just collapse and comply and be complicit with their enemies, which does the absolute opposite. It reduces it. So a lot of it, I believe, is mindset. I believe it's just mindset. My mind is at war, so my body is ready for war.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing about the way I talk and the things I say. Some people find it inspirational, and some people are upset by it, and their ego prevents them from learning from it.
Yeah.
But it's the kind of people who are really genuinely upset by what I say are the kind of people who can't truly learn anything and become successful in life.
Yeah.
I obviously know what I'm talking about to some degree, right? So if Mike Tyson walks in here and tells you he's going to teach you how to box and says you can't fight, you're a pussy, if that upsets you, then you can't learn, right? It's Mike Tyson. Just shut up and listen. Yeah. If someone, Richard and me, comes along and says, Andrew, you don't know shit, you're a dumbass and you're a brokey, I'm going to sit there and go, okay, maybe I'm a brokey, Elon. Tell me something, right? I'll listen. But if you're going to sit there and go, don't call me names and then I not listen, you're never going to get anywhere, right? You don't become the master unless you're very, very good at being a student. And I've always been very, very good at knowing when to shut up. But I've got to a point in my life now where I don't have to shut up ever. So I don't.
How long would you say you were a student for? That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm still a student of life, right? Nobody knows everything. And there's still a lot of people who I respect and will always respect and always am quiet around and treat with absolute respect. But I've been learning for a very, very long time. I've always been very, very observant, trying to pay a lot of attention. And life really doesn't have to be that complicated. When you see somebody that has something you want, you just got to try and work out how they got it.
Yeah.
And that's the missing part. Most people see people with things they want and they don't do the second half. They don't try and work out how they got that thing. Oh, my man has a Ferrari. Okay. I wish I had a Ferrari. Okay. They don't sit there and go for an hour. How did he get a Ferrari? It doesn't cross that part is the part they don't want to do, right? They just go, oh, he has a Ferrari. Wish I had a Ferrari. And they go back to TV.
Yeah.
And that's why they lose.